Hey guys, we are on Roots Week 2, Day 2, second day of Bible reading. Before we jump in, I want to ask you a question. If you had 5 minutes face to face with God, what do you think that would be like? What do you think you would say? Would you ask God questions? What do you think it would be like to be in His presence? How do you imagine that time going down? The reason that I ask you that is because in today's passage, that is exactly what happened. Moses asked God to see His face. And God said that no man could see His face and live, but that God would reveal Himself to Moses by hiding Moses in a rock while He passed by, and Moses could sort of see the edge of Him, see the backside of Him as He walked by Moses. This is one of the most important passages, I think, in the entire Bible. The reason I think that is that this is the most quoted passage in the entire Bible. So after this is said, these lines get repeated over and over and over again. This is Exodus 34, verses 6 through 7. It says, "The Lord passed in front of him and proclaimed, the Lord is a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, and abounding in faithful love and truth, maintaining faithful love to 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity, rebellion, and sin. But He will not leave the guilty unpunished, bringing the father's iniquity on the children and grandchildren to the third and fourth generation." After this, it said that Moses immediately knelt down on the ground and worshiped. So this is such an important passage because this is what God says about Himself. And the reason it gets repeated is because God reveals Himself as compassionate, as gracious, as slow to anger, as forgiving. And this is wonderful, wonderful news to us. But also in this passage, there is this weird part where it says that He will not leave the guilty unpunished, which seems contradictory because it just said that He would forgive sin. But now it's saying that He's not only going to punish sin, but that He's going to punish generations afterwards because of sin. And what are we supposed to do with that? Well, first of all, I want you to notice this. Like, there is a such thing as generational sin. That means that the actions that you take will have consequences for your children or for your grandchildren, even on down the road. And you may think that you're just a young student right now. What's it matter? But it does matter. There are consequences to your action that will affect generations to come. But if we look internally, it says that God will punish generation up to the third and fourth generation, but that He keeps faithful love up to 1,000 generations. And so God is more willing to show love and to show compassion and to show forgiveness than He is to show wrath. That's not to say that He doesn't have wrath against sin, because He certainly does. But it is to say that God also is eager to forgive, and He would rather forgive than to bring His wrath on our sin. The question is, how do we respond to His grace? This moment comes after the golden calf incident, after Israel had been led out of slavery in Egypt by miraculous signs and wonders from God. Moses goes up the mountain to get the law of God. He disappears for a while. And while he disappears, the people build a golden calf and they worship a statue. God is enraged over this, but because Moses asked Him to forgive the people, He does. At least the ones that were willing to be forgiven. Moses comes down the mountain. He says, "Whoever is with the Lord, come over here with me." And evidently, I think it says 3,000 people didn't do that. They did not want to worship God even after all that He had done for them. They would have rather worshipped the golden calf. That's what they wanted to do. And God killed all of the people that refused to come over to His side. And that seems so harsh to us. That seems so cruel to us. Why is God so jealous? Why is God so petty? Well, the same is really true for us. When we reject God, we reject Him in the face of all that He has done for us. We reject redemption. We reject the cross. We reject what He did for us, just like the people of Israel rejected Him after all He had done for them. And every time we choose an idol over God, we will reject all that is good and we'll be led astray into evil. When Israel started following idols, they did horrible, detestable, evil, wicked things. And that's why God was so enraged over it. And so you and I, we need to reckon with who God is. God is a God of wrath against sin. It is greater than we can imagine, but so is His grace. And so if we believe it to be true that this is who God is, then let us respond like Moses and wholeheartedly worship the one true God.